the Ministry of Land. And then the first thing is to do what we call a registered survey in your name. Okay? So that means that if the Ministry of Land, the Surveyor General, is written that this plot belongs to you. Once that is done, the next step, if he doesn't have COO, is to go for COO. If he does have a COO, then you didn't need to do, you still need to do what we talked about, because most times the COO is over a large expanse. So you still need to now survey that specifically from one to you to say, yeah, you gave COO to all this land, but this particular portion, and I'm getting the registered survey. Then the registered survey with the deed of assignment is what you use to get what something called government consent. That's if the land has COO. Yours doesn't have COO, so you want to do registered survey, and if you want to personally go for the COO, you go get the COO. Now, typically in Nigeria, once a land has a COO, the price more than triple. Yeah. Okay, so, and it's easier for them to give you as an individual COO than to give a company trying to get COO over 100 acres. You see that? So, okay, just one plot they want to give you, right? 2 plots, 1 acre, 3 acre. But when you are trying to get a larger plot, then it becomes political. You want to meet the governor, you want to, so when you buy land like that, you want to still go for that to perfect the title, but if you want to sell it in future. Because what then helps you to really maximize the price in future is the title that is in your name. Right. So if you now have a COO in your name or government's consent in your name, that kind of a land in future you are selling for 50 to 100. And that's really where the profit is. Why are you late?
Because I'm at work today, so I called and I'm not informed.
Work. It's okay. Any more questions? Yeah, it's the same with us. Just that I think I like I bought that land because it's facing the Lagos Ibadan Expressway, and you and I know that I don't know when you left Nigeria. Growing up, I used to come. My motherland was in Songwater, so I remember I would be coming from Ikeja, taking that express road straight to Songo, and I'll be seeing empty land, and it was just very much bushy, and you don't have enough houses there till you get to Songo, then you now see houses. Today now you take that same road, there's no bush anywhere, everywhere is developed. And I see Lagos Ibadan Express Road become like that in the next 10 years. Because it's the most plied express road in Nigeria. So it's going to develop over time again and again. But like I said, what many of us were doing, including myself, is land banking. Buy the land, you have nothing to lose, keep it for more years, try to perfect it. So, for example, the land doesn't have COO. We've applied now for the survey, registered survey. The ministry people had come to do their own inspection, which is also something GTEx rarely talk about. Because when you buy land from us, what we promise you is the land. We didn't promise you to perfect the title. But behind the scene, we're already perfecting titles while we're waiting for the area to appreciate it. So he bought Perry now. What she didn't know, and I don't know why our leaders don't always express these things, is that the land when we bought it, those areas were under acquisition and all of that. We've now gotten the register survey that is taken out of acquisition now. And we're not affected by the 50-meter coastal that the federal government is talking about. So, and if you go to allow the Ministry of Land for the agenda, you see our name there with, knowledge as the owner of that place now. So even when we buy this large expanse of land, behind the scene, we're trying to see how to perfect it on behalf of everybody. We don't just do the 50% that is our own. We just try to perfect for the entire, which is why we get a bit frustrated when people don't want to pay development levy and the documentation, which is really, I think, what people are angry much about, right? But what we often don't know is that money we're able to use to make sure we develop the land and we don't get people encroach on it because government is encroaching now. By the way, what President Tinubu said, we knew was going to happen way before he came for that commission. That once he comes to that place, he will say, to this side, don't touch it. We now we have a plan for it. I'm not kidding. So one of the key things we knew we wanted to do. What do you need? What is that? Thank you. Double check this. Double check that. Are you taking yours? You are late come. I don't want to. Yeah. The favorite? Which thing? How like a book? One milligram. He's British. He's British. So medium red for him. But he's real African. Well done. Yeah. So yeah, I hope I've answered the question. Have I answered you? This land banking for now, I think in future you can look at it whether as 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you can look at the area and say if you have the resources to build maybe a block of flats and then rent it out, live in one, or rent out everything, or do you want to just sell them and cash out? It's going to be your choice. But mind you, even when we perfect the title, like as we're doing register survey, we're working on the C of O. But like for you guys now, we're going to write you for the C of O payment, right? But when you must understand that I think it's a partnership that we need to. I think sometimes the issue is lack of trust. I keep saying this, right? We find it difficult to trust each other. There's always that belief that I'm sure the guy is playing games. And I keep saying this, when you struggle to trust somebody, it speaks to who you are. I don't know that it largely speaks to who you are. If you really know you can't trust yourself, you will find it difficult to trust somebody else. You will just, and I will face that issue in business where, and I know that the way we run business is not the way others are running it. So I get why sometimes people like, he couldn't have, right? I won't be surprised some people don't believe. I mean, thank God she has been there, right? So she can confirm the 5-acre loss and all of that. If not that she's been there. Some people watching me saying that on channels, which is sometimes I just don't feel was important saying it. We just be like, come on, he will just lose 5 acres, lose over a billion, then he'll be this quiet. continue because they are reflecting themselves in you, right? Because if it happened to them, they wouldn't have reacted the way you are reacting. And so, because you are not reacting the way they will have reacted, then to them, you are not authentic. Something must be wrong. Yeah, and so, it's what I noticed about doing business as an African. Most Africans are not truthful. So, they don't expect you to be truthful. Most Africans don't do business with integrity. So, when it looks as if you're doing business with integrity, they feel like maybe you're lying, maybe you're not truthful, maybe like you can't just be that. I don't think so. Must be something, right? There must be something somewhere.
I don't understand why you're speaking.
Thank you. I have not collapsed. Exactly. There must something. There must be. But I don't think so. If you've done land banking and that's why I said diversify. Our edge is diversification, right? We will have over 40 acre, we lost 5 acre. Okay, the rest has appreciated more than 20 times. You figure out and focus on the game, right? And you've done multiple different investments too. Yeah, and that's the mindset we must have. There will be losses with investment. It doesn't matter with GTS or with anybody else. Investment comes with a risk. But have the mindset to say, I will diversify enough that even if I lose some, the ones that I will gain, right, will cover up for the ones that I lost. It's as simple as that's how all of us do. Elon Musk last week or 2 weeks ago lost $35 billion in one day because he spoke against the president. Right? Is he not the same Elon Musk? Right? Is it not the same Elon Musk who gained? How much did he gain when Trump became president? I think he gained, was it 75 billion or what? When Trump became president, maybe 200 billion. He gained, huh? He gained more than he lost. Yeah, he gained about 100 and something billion. Right? So that's how business work. I have this quote. I said, we are our latecomers. Come. No, let her call me. Why is she going? She's shy. I know she's shy. Challenge is just where. Yeah.
Sorry, sir. Sorry for coming.
I will take your question. Yeah, you are late, so I know. Take your time. Are you done with your thing? Are you sure? Take your time.
There's a question for you. I mean, it's not for you, I have one, but it's just thinking about with the expressway, the one that you lost, most of you lost land too.
One house, one house.
Yeah. ABC of town planning, right? Real estate. Waterfront land is very prime value, that people want it. Roads are not that prime. Why did they do a road on the seafront and not away from it? But that's taking away a very prime land for developed road when you could have done it not in that location.
So in Africa, road is a major. In Africa, road is a major source of growing the value of land, even more than train, even more than more than train, and even airport is just the exact environment of the airport that appreciates the value. Yeah. But road in Africa, because we still move most of our goods and services via the road, right? So the entire stretch of that road gets value in Africa. So number one driver of value for land in Africa is the good road.
Yeah, maybe an access road going to somewhere that's remote, but in a city, in the inner city, that prime line, seafront, sea-facing land, it's people are going to pay price like a lot of it in terms of development.
Yeah, so technically, I think the government know what they're doing. So they have something called Eco Atlantic that is after that road, where they were dredging the Atlantic Ocean, right? And they are building massive skyscrapers.
Yeah,
So I suspect that what they are doing is a technical land grabbing strategy
okay.
to take over the entire seafront, using that road to demarcate.
Okay.
Do you see now? Because what the president is saying is that anything after that road belongs to them because it's facing the coastal road.
Okay.
And the coastal road belongs to the federal government. Right? The coastal road belongs to the federal government. So what you could see is a whole takeover straight from Lagos to Calabar, taking over the entire Atlantic Ocean. Right? And building skyscrapers.
You said it in one of the law, I mean, India of laws. The federal government has
The
to the code.
1978.
Yes, has to the code to the sea.
Yeah.
You know, so they don't negotiate with state or anybody their land. So it's easier to build roads straight to their land than go inside and negotiate with landowners and all of that stuff. You don't need to do for. So that's why. Just simply their land, just under the law. That's what we do.
They're 50 meters off the coast. They
I think that's
belong to the federal.
almost
Belong to the federal government.
Yeah, every country.
Is it general?
General?
I think it's almost every country. Come on.
Oh, the same? Oh, okay.
So you can listen or buy from the government.
Okay, so
They
thank
can
you.
go both ways.
Open our minds for it. So one of the problems. To your incentive. I invested in the Abuja, the Kuje.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I invested, when I saw the was at a certain price. So, but then I sent a message, but didn't get a response on time. So when the people came back, they increased already. So I said I wanted to pay that amount because when we started, that was the price. I was actually shocked when I thought, what? But that wasn't the discussion I've been having. So I think I sent a message. I wouldn't know, maybe it's your photo or but I sent them and I said, no, I beg to pass. I'm not interested anymore. This was not where we started from. And then I got a response from you to say that, okay, pay the amount you talked about initially. That I found very was really surprising for me. And that shows, because where you see things like that, most of the time it's here, maybe overseas, maybe you see something with the price on it, and then you take it to the seal and it's the wrong price. They said they've changed it, and because that's the price on it, you have to pay that price. But that's not, it's not common, you never say that like it. Once the price changes, then it's changed. So thank you very much for putting our minds at rest and for the stories we are integrity when it comes to and because there's a whole lot of drama with Silver. A lot of people have been, a lot of people are crying because they've been scammed in one way or the other.
I don't think all those things are true. right? Because people also love to exaggerate a lot.
The one part, I'm talking about the people in diaspora.
Yeah, a lot of people in diaspora love to exaggerate a lot. I'm being honest. We love to exaggerate because we kind of enjoy that pity party. Those in diaspora to say, imagine after 20 pounds an hour work, I was trying to swindle us back at home. So I see a lot of that because two things makes you lose money in Africa: greed to buy a property that is too cheap, and you didn't know it's too cheap because you've left home a while ago, and you don't understand that properties in Africa are now way more expensive. Like I said, leasing small land, huge population, keeps growing, and that's what makes the property to go up. A lot of bloggers who are lying to people now to claim that property value are exaggerated in Africa, and I'm saying they're saying those things just to deceive people, because in reality, um, she has some books you for those who may. How many of you want to get my book? Let's even know. Okay. Abi, so you can give her to bring the book. So we have people playing into our emotions to say, oh, properties are too expensive in Lagos. The developers are the problem. Developers are not the problem. Developers don't own land. I don't know whether you understand. When you want to buy land in Nigeria, you go meet the family first. They put the right value on it. Then, like I said, in Nigeria, you buy property from two people. After buying the property from the family, you still have to go to the government. Now, if you choose to buy property from government, you don't buy from family. The day you enter there, family will start attacking you with thugs and all of that. So you're having to pay property price twice. Not only that, the day you want to do anything on the land, youth will come and say, we youth of the area, we gentry, so this is why property price goes up. It's not some developer. There's even too much competition among developers for them to be the one causing the problem. Is that the value, the property prices are just, and government is part of the problem. Because if government is seeing land as a way of making money, instead of seeing tax, in this part of the world, they use tax, right? And they have it too in Nigeria. They have land use act. So rather than government focus on the land use money, which in my opinion would be way more than the C of O money, right? But their eye is more on that C of O. So when you won't believe it, to get C of O in Nigeria now can be as expensive from the government. What will it cost you? Almost 10 million naira. So how can the land be cheap? That's the issue. So which is why sometimes we as developer buy maybe a land that is not yet perfect, and then we work our way to perfecting it with the investors, and moving down that ladder. But in reality, it's a government issue. But many of us just want to hear what we want to hear. Developers are the problem. Fine. But were we not buying land directly from families before developers emerged in Nigeria? Who remembers in the 90s where we used to have land grabbers kidnapping my uncle? I had three attempts to assassinate him 3 times, right, over this land grabbing. And they were demonic guys or bony guys who were selling, grabbing land in those days. What developers have done is to, make it more civil. At least now you are dealing with a company. At least you can take them to court. It's not like you're dealing with champ. But guess what? We, the developers, still deal with the champ you are no longer dealing with. Right? Where you went to, that they put champ there is more than twice. Right? We still have to settle the issue, resolve, use the Holy Spirit, anoint the place. She's British. You won't understand. Right. So we still go about. So for me, the fact that developers have stand in the gap to help, make it more civil is even why many of you in diaspora have some chance. Most of you in diaspora who still deal directly with families. How far with the land? They sold it to 10, 20 people. The most powerful one eventually will be the one to get the land. So but again, Africa love to fight their heroes. That's why until they die. Right? It's a thing. That's why we lack heroes. Somebody's some people come in, try to solve the problem. Say, no, now they're the problem. They are the ones. They're the unfair. And we forget easily what people are doing for us. I think the entire growth we're seeing in the real estate space was because developers showed us. Right. If not that, we will have still been in those dark ages where it's so diabolic, and it's just dealing with these local people, not educated, and they're selling land to multiple people. Everybody's fighting. Yeah.
Where do we, the documentation in Abuja here is different from the way the documentation is done in Lagos.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Which is not clear. So where do we go from here in terms of the state one? Sorry, I want to ask you questions so I allow other people. And then in terms of the KT one, what next? Because where?
Well, good question. So Abuja is a bit different. Also because of the minister of FCT. So typically when you buy land in Abuja, most land have what we call ROFO, right of occupancy, and you can choose to same model, do the survey, take the survey to the Ministry of Land, and say you want to pay for pay to maybe change it to seeable. To seeable. But this one is the farmland, so you will have to convert it to residential. But all of it is get a survey first, take the survey at your deed to the Ministry of Lands. One of the things we're hoping we intend to do in the next coming months is to have a team of lawyers being introduced to our investors who can be helping you guys with a lot of these things. But you are kind of just talk to them. This is what I want, and they can help helping you with those documentation. Again, it's Nigeria, for your file to move, the
transport there.
so you know how the ministry things work in those parts. But as moving from agric exemption to residential, and then that would bring you with the COO. And do we even have those things?
Yeah. Okay.
So I hope that, so let me just, I will take your question once I take the second one. So the second one is the Katie. So for Katie, yes, similar to Nigeria but different. So in Texas, when you buy land, and that's funny because in Nigeria you're trying to move an agric land, you're trying to move it to residential. But in Texas, you are the one to rush to go and get what we call agric exemption. And the reason we do that is because of the tax. So on that 100-acre KD one, for example, we would have been not KD, Brookshire. We will have been Brookshire, not KD. We will have been paying over $100,000 every year, which
The one I just invested, not the, wasn't the land.
okay. Uh, syndication. Oh, okay, that's fine. So, but let me land on one I'm sharing. So when you buy land, you go get agriculture exemption because we will have been paying on the book here is 100 acres. We will have been paying over $100,000 every year in taxes. But by getting agriculture exemption, now we don't pay taxes. We lease it to the farmer. The farmers pay like $2 per acre. And that money just goes towards paying the taxes because the tax on it is less than $100, just there about because we are doing that. We got agriculture exemption. So you see people say, why are they farmland in Texas? It's because of tax. That's where I think they do something similar in the UK as well. Some of the outskirts where you're farming on it, you pay less in tax.
Oh, yeah. Why wait for planning?
Exactly. Why wait for planning and all that? So we do that while waiting to now do planning, permits, all of that. And apparently in the US, it's similar to the UK. The permit can take you 2 years. It can take a while. So, for example, those of you who just did complications, you just invested for returns. With the permit thing delay, because we're supposed to by now have started building, start selling, make enough money to start paying returns. But that hasn't happened because of the permit. But the good news is that we have one that the permit is being sorted. I think we should in July start construction on that. So we're hoping that we can speed up the construction. Maybe by December, we could be through with some of the units. And at least we maybe hopefully soon start getting cash flow to distribute to investors for that. But we still need our US investment still needs a lot of investment because many of the properties, yeah. Because many of the investments we're doing in the US is that we're getting institutional investors who are giving us 70% of the money we need. And then we are to raise 30% of the money. So we're supposed to raise about $60 million. And we haven't even raised $10 million. Yeah. So it's been a bit tough, raising funds, particularly, like I said, with so much fake news, it just muddies, the waters. So we're hoping to, and that's why we're doing a lot of these investors and for people to at least hear from me directly. I can assure you that the opportunities in the US is real, both in owning land, and I encourage as many who can afford it. If you're scared of doing land banking in Nigeria or in Africa, you shouldn't be scared of doing land banking in America. At least this is a more regulated environment, there's no talks. Everything is straightforward. You want permits, you go to the government. It may take it a while to get it, but I can assure you, I'll give you an example. The Brookshire land, when we started the acquisition last year, we never knew Elon Musk was going to build a factory less than 15 minutes from us. As I speak to you, the value has gone up by more than 12%. He has not built, though, he just announced. So what happened when the whole thing is built and they start working? That place is going to double in prices in less than 5 years, just even because of Tesla coming to that area. So there's a huge opportunity in owning land in America. particularly Texas, because people are leaving California, they are moving to Texas. Texas just announced now that no more income tax if you live in Texas. Yes. So they're working every day to reduce the tax used in Texas. So I can assure you that people who invest, uh, it's just going to be like our story. And I'm hoping you can help me do video with people like that sharing their story. Because the land she bought, when you bought Beryl, how much did you buy? 10 million per plot, right? It's over 30 million now. And you bought it when?
2025, 2023.
In 2 years, right? Because of the Beryl Vigilante, right? Because of the cost, just 2 years.
Oh, okay. Just it was 4.5.
Yeah, you bought it earlier. Some people got it for 1.5 when we launched, but they were 5 years ago, right? 2019. But that's my point. We specialize in knowing unique places to buy land and position early, knowing that whether it's the coastal road, and the same thing is what we're doing in Texas, where we know that this area, there's a lot that is going to come into that axis, and we're tying the land down. And we know that in the next 5 years, everybody is just grateful in terms of the value and the appreciation that will come. So I will encourage that, if you can still invest more, we're open to it. But yes, we're still in that fundraising phase to do a lot of what we need to do. For example, we want to start construction of 24 units because we now got permit on that one. To do the construction of the 24 units, we need about $5 million. Now we need to raise 30% of that $5 million to do that 24 units. So all that is what we're doing. So but we know God will help us. We know how to spot the opportunities. The challenge is just dealing with investors who, first of all, are very skeptical about investments and, often victim of, I know some of our investors that once sent me a screenshot, said somebody that I know I invested with you was sending me all this fake stuff. And I told her, I said, leave me alone. Just leave me alone. I know who I'm dealing with. Let go of it, your stories. And why do they do that? It's because they refuse to invest. And I'm being honest with you. And they are trying to mock you to say, well, you that you wanted to act like you're better than us, you're smarter. See, you are failing. You're losing. It's not working. It's about to crash. Join our club. All of us doing nothing, right? And I've said it over and over again. The fact that you laugh at me and try to exaggerate my misery does not erase your misery. It doesn't. Yours is still there. And what I realized about people who haven't worked on their finances, so we should stop using the word poor people, right? But people who refuse to work on their finances, the problem really is that they busy themselves mocking and coming against those who have worked on their finances. But coming against those who are working on their finances doesn't work or change your own financial problems, right? When they came after TDJ, I knew in my heart of heart, the next person they were going to come after is Tyler Perry. And I'm not surprised now. Somebody's suing him for 200 and something. And I can bet you the person behind that is Black woman.
Yeah, not like.
I cannot know. It's the same script. One of us rise to the top, we gotta bring him down. We have to. It's a culture. No. He can't make us feel like he's gone, he's successful. Right? We're not gonna take that. we must bring him down. And again, we must commit to say we will not join that club.
Mm.
We will not join that club. I'm extremely. You wanted to ask questions, she going?
No.
Okay. I'm extremely frustrated when I look at the impact of TD Jakes. You know, he was addressing that rumor with apparently they accused Oprah too, that Oprah too was in Diddy's party. Right. So when TD Jakes was saying, Oprah said, they accuse you too. Say, yeah. I said, really? So Bishop TJ said, look at me. I'm almost 70. Look at me. Like, what they're accusing me of doesn't even make sense. It's a difference if I'm a young guy and can say, okay, I'm going for all these freaky parties. I'm almost 70. What? I see how I look, Seth. I mean, so, but it's just something that our people just love doing. Just love seeing him. And then we all gather, yeah, to fight a fight. So, but you're hearing it from me. I'm not going to reply anybody. If I regretted a few comments I put out, I think people like I were one of those that made me pay attention. Typically, I don't even, and I regretted it. Right? I think I was discussing with JJ Omoju, and you know he's a veteran in things like this, and he was saying this. Should not have replied. Said no, should not have. Say you should not have. People like that feed off.
They just get question.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. Yeah, because when you give it attention, when you give it attention, because that was the issue. When you give it attention, feed off, you know, so your reply. So our group CEO sent a letter to investors. Before you know it, they take the letter, start doing YouTube video. All people didn't know was that they were making money off that because they were monetizing the YouTube, the TikTok, and because I was trending over the 18K. What really happened was the 18K wasn't it? Yeah, it was the 18K. So I was trending. It was a national conversation. Some media are carrying it that this rich Nigerian is charging people $18,000 to mentor them. It's unfair. It's charging in dollars. It should have been charging in naira. Which is all over, right? So they then were capitalizing on that trend, right? To then start manufacturing their own version of stories, and they were making money off it, and people didn't know. But I regretted even giving it attention, and it's something I'm telling those of you who are my lovers to going forward. Don't even bring things like that to me because there's no point. They feed off you giving it. You would think that by coming to address certain things will make it no. They will still be shredding everything you're addressing, you know, and keep going. So there's just no point. You just keep quiet, ignore them. You know, so JJ was like, oh, I wish you had discussed with me. You didn't even need to. Just ignore. Just ignore. Those things are normal. And they do it to anyone. Once you are rich, you're famous. If you are not rich, you are famous. Anybody somewhere knows they can make money, right, by doing anything about you. So for TD Jakes stuff, why were people doing it? If I just do video and say Bishop TD Jakes is in PDD's freaky party, people want to watch, right? And I can make $5,000 off that video, right? You know what that means? That's a lot. You understand how they say it. So for them, it's like this is a huge opportunity to make huge amount of money, right? I don't care whether it's true or not, right? Let's just ride on that story, and it's a normal thing that happens.
Yeah, when you kept quiet,
Yeah.
you were angry. Yeah, people they keep you quiet. Carry on and do his video all around. Exactly when you went to Doha. That was When you went to go.
No, but in reality, the ignoring will have made you keep quiet faster. Responding was where, yeah, responding was, and Bishop T.D. Jakes got it right when his own trend happened. If you watch that Sunday service, remember what he said? He said, I did not do it. Today is not the day. I'm not going to dignify Easter, by changing, and he let it go. That's how to handle things like that. When you go into details, if Bishop T.D. Jakes are now going to detail to say, no, I did not go to Didi's party. I only call him and wish him happy birthday. Oh, now he has. Exactly. So, thank you. And people don't always know this. If Amojo has said this to me, say, look, this is against my own interest, because as a PR consultant, responding is where I can charge money. Because I then help you create how we respond. He said, but to be honest with you, silence is how you handle things. But we PR consultant won't tell you, because our job is to go and fight for you. So we tell you, let's craft this letter. And if you want to see an example of how things like that don't work, is Pastor Paul. Wouldn't you have thought that him addressing and saying, I didn't have a gun?
Just so that
The day he said I didn't have a gun.
No, he said that. He said I didn't have a gun.
That's what I'm saying. That saying I did not have a gun. That because the case was already dying down. Right? As soon as he then said, the thing, it took fire more. So we must understand how this PR thing works. And there's nothing you can do, it will happen. I mean, okay, what did Tyler Perry do now to make his movie is even trending #1 on Netflix, is doing well? So why will somebody just come and say I'm suing 200 and something? But guess what? If you notice, it's in timing with his growth. Right? Biggest movie, right? Highest 1.5 billion view, one of the biggest records in the history of Netflix, right? And it's at that point somebody is suing. So these people plan it. Right? Thank you. So I'm trending for 18K suddenly. So I mean, you should have looked at some people are like, we can leverage on this guy trending, make some money,
Exactly.
and all of that. But the answer is just keep quiet. You answer them, they keep coming. So when I went to Harvard, I'm told that they were even doing video to say I wasn't in Harvard, it was online. But as God will catch them, by the way, I didn't know this until I finished my Harvard. So every day I was doing thank you. I didn't even know. So every day I was also doing video, even in class, lectures. So, and I think that's why they kept quiet. Right? Because those videos, after a while, you become a fool. Everybody like, there's no, listen, this guy is there. By the time the Nigerian party we did for my colleague in Harvard, everybody, even those watching them, stop watching. No, it was a Nigerian caterer in Boston that did the program. Yeah. No, it was like an hostel. The room is even smaller than this. I think it was the smallest room I've stayed in a long time. I really felt like I was a student. But I had a great time. And Harvard helped me because it helped me to move off that negative. I was distracted from all of that. And then they also give us a coach. So more like a shrink. And I've never had a shrink in my life. So we had all those conversation of what happened. If at some point he said to me, he said, "Don't worry, you now have Harvard committee behind you. You can leave all this your Nigerian all these your Nigerian people don't appreciate you." Because everybody was fascinated with my story in Harvard. All my classmates were like, "Wow, we thought you were from a rich home or your parents were position. You met in 17 years, you grew your business to this." You see people telling themselves, "You have 1 million followers on Instagram." I said, Nigerians don't see big deal out of it. I'm very normal with my people. But it was big deal. Yeah, it was big deal for a lot of my colleagues. They're excited, everybody. Even my coach was fascinated with my story. And so I always just said, "Don't worry, you have Harvard alumni behind you. They will invest in your business. Once you graduate, don't worry, you can leave all this your Nigerian investors." I was, thank you, I appreciate that. But yeah, your question. Then I take heart.
I really appreciate what you are doing. But if you could remember, all those 1 year when you came to London.
When I came to London, yeah,
That was the first time I came for the event. So during that time now, I'm just graduating from student. But after then, you came to Birmingham. I was employed as a maintenance engineer in one of the but I couldn't make it. No, you came to Birmingham last year. But after then, I was given employed back to London.
okay.
So I'm so sorry for coming late because it's
It's
I
okay.
just
You're
have
not the only
I
one
just
that
have
is
to
late.
tell my boss that I'm supposed to close by 6 p.m. I have to tell
No
them.
problem.
Then this book Billionaire Habit and land banking that I bought when it came really changed mentality, changed my orientation, changed how I don't know that I'm wasting money. So make me to able to plan my money effectively. And I want to ask question based on because I bought a plot of land there. That's why I stayed very big. What was the next plan for this? Because I was told that the land banking for now. What's your the plan for this? Because of the environment. Because when you look at it, proximity to airport, the Kano, China, so it's a place that you know it will be very good for maybe business. So what's your plans are for this?
Well, I'm not sure for business, but I'm sure for residential. So every of our estate has been themed one thing or the other. So you see some with our goal is to build estates that you will appreciate in value. So whether we're putting a golf course in it in future, we're putting malls, we're putting schools, we're putting this. But you see, all these things cost money. What people didn't know why we decided to expand to the US was because when we analyze what we will need to build or develop all these estates we have, there are over 30 of them, and we're intending to add the 200. We realize that we will need over $20 billion, right? Even Nigerian government is not able to get that kind of even Nigerian government. So the best solution we discovered was that we could expand internationally, like begin to build estates in US. If we can expand aggressively in the US in the next 5 to 10 years, we will now control assets of over $1 billion, and we can borrow against it and bring it to Nigeria and start developing all these lands, in terms of infrastructure, building all of those things. You see what I'm saying now? Because a lender in America will be willing to give you money if you have an asset in America Even if that money you want to go and use it elsewhere, no problem. You have an asset in America I can hold if anything goes wrong. So that's the structure. That's the secret we're having. And we see this as a game changer for the nation. Because when we start bringing millions of dollars into the country, imagine how many jobs that will create. Imagine lives that will be touched by those kind of decisions. Are we together now? Um, Imagine how it will change, and more people making money. A lot of you are buying these properties, I mean, I know a woman who bought a land in Banana Island. True story. This is not exaggeration. Way back for as low as less than 20 million naira. The same land they know we're not talking of house, land alone today in the same Banana Island is worth over 2 billion naira. Right? So for us, that's what we see happen with our estate. But sometimes people want to compare us with other things that are not realistic. Now, I'll give you an example. How many years did it take them to build Banana Island? And that was federal government, plus state government, plus private sector. Ladies and gentlemen, over 30 years. So in the 1994, 1995, if you live in Ikoyi, Banana Island was Stanfield, and that's where young people used to go and learn how to drive. And they finished selling it, but nobody was living there. They've even done the roads. But it was just there. But today, see what it has become. So when you're doing estate in bulk, right, all these 20 acre, 30 acre, 100 acre, 200 acre, it's not a short time, same thing with VGC. Go and check VGC too. It's over 30 years, right? So it's a long time. But you see people say, which estate have they finished building? Right? And then they have
by timing,
Yeah, you probably are also ready to retire and to have the funds to develop the land, which is what happened to many people in Banana Island. When many of them were civil servants, either working for private or ministry or in the military, right? They were paying those land, they just had to, they didn't have money to build it, right? But because the growth took some years, they eventually, so people want to compare us with somebody who developed 2 acre land in Lekki and now say he has a full estate. 1 acre, 2 acre, fully developed, you've done, a conjunction of 50 units. It's not what GTS is doing. Average of our estate is 50 acre, and some were buying more to grow some of them to 200, and some 500 acres. It's a long-term project that require long-term funding. And for us, we realize that liquidity is a problem in Nigeria right now. Cash is an issue in Nigeria. You can't just get cash like that. Even the government is struggling with that. So best thing is you expand internationally and you can take some of that, take loan against your assets internationally, and come and develop locally. Make sense? Uh-huh. But in terms of you as an investor, land banking is land banking. You can't lose, right? And you got a good deal with, that place. Share is that's, it's just close to Lagos. That land has C of O. The problem is just, it is oftentimes waterlogged. But once our engineering structures, we're going to create an artificial lake to suck up the water and then use the sand from where we raise the lake to sand fill and raise up the level of the rest, and our place will be fine. Okay? Top of answered.
yeah.
Finally, your turn.
If you have the knowledge that you have now, okay, and what would you give yourself advice when you just start?
Good question.
And what book would you use it for?
Well, the book I use is still the book I used before. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Right? A few books, you can write them down. One is Rich Dad Poor Dad. The second book, Rich Dad Poor Dad is book one. The second book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The third book is Richest Man in Babylon. The next book is Acres of Diamond. I encourage Acres of Diamond because, and this is important for all of you here, because I'm sensing some of you who are investors in Africa might be making the mistake that happened in Acres of Diamond. So here was the mistake, and that's the mistake I don't want to make. That's why, despite expanding, we just started in Doha now. US, UK, Dubai. I'm not leaving Africa at all. We are launching another estate next Saturday. We are launching another one in July. I'm just keep expanding because from what I learned from Acres of Diamond. Now, it was a story about a diamond era where people started discovering diamonds on lands. So this man heard about this diamond bubble that was happening. Like, you could buy a land and then you just find diamond and you are rich for life. Okay? So he decided to sell his land, okay, to go and search for land that potentially have diamonds. And so he sold the land, got the first and used it to buy another land in another location, city where everybody said there's diamond in that city, right? Bought the land, they searched, they didn't find diamond, right? He sold that one again, till finally the man died. I didn't find that. Now, the man he sold his original land to, right, was because there's a river on the property. So it was on that river. He goes to the river to work and all that. So you always see these stones that are shining, right? So if we just take this because they're just shining, take it, drop it on his table, right? And he had a huge collection of those stones. So one day, the neighbor of the former owner, who knew also the former owner, came to visit them and then said, "What is that?" "Oh, they're just stones by the river on the land. We have, by the way, there are many stones like this there. I just pick." "Ah, it was what the former owner sold this land for. He was looking for this." And that land became one of the highest concentration of diamond in the world. Yeah, I think it's true last story. Right. So, and I read this at the age of 18. So you see why I'm resilient. Because it taught me so early that look, what you might be chasing might just be within your reach, and then you and I see people do that today. I see people walk away from some of our investment. I'm like, I'm not a fool. I put my money into this land. If it doesn't work, I will have gone away. If people say, I want my money back, I want to bury my father, I want to bury my father. Like, something must be wrong. But I bet you people like that have not read Acres of Diamond. Because when you read it, you start seeing life from a different perspective. I think, I'm not going to, there may be diamond where I am right now. Right? So I'm not going to give up. So for me, that's how I see our investments in Nigeria. It's challenging. I've just lost over R1 billion, right? But I see it as the Acres of Diamond because I'm analyzing, I'm saying, hey, the rest of the world is dropping in population. Data shows that Nigeria will be the largest, Lagos will be the largest city in the world in the next few years, and Nigeria will produce 8th largest city in the world. Where will these people live? They have to live in their house, right? If Lagos becomes the largest city in the world, anybody that has 600 acres in Lagos is a multi-billionaire by just having land, which is part of what's going on today. People don't know the crisis in Lagos is the crisis of rent. It's no longer affordable, right? You're seeing ridiculous houses and they're just telling you pay 50 million to rent a house, pay 30 million. But what the bloggers are doing, who are just empty skull anyway, is that it's population growth. That's what drives, is that what's happening in London? Right? I'm paying in my room here. The room I have here is about this size, and it's about over 300 pounds a night, right? In Houston, I will have 3 of this. My living room will be double of this. I'm a king, right? We less than $300. Okay, but what happened as population grew in London? All the houses started becoming so small and extremely expensive. Extremely. And it's just to central London. Some other, if you go to the outskirts of UK, it's still big houses there, right? So, and cheaper. So people need to understand what drives real estate is population growth. So if you have data that you are buying in a place where the population growth will be ridiculous, and then you choose not to invest, something must be wrong with you. Why are we investing in Texas? It's not mistake, it's data that businesses are leaving California because of the ridiculous tax and the crazy governor they have in California. And they are coming to Texas. Texas law is friendly on tax. So more people are moving in, over 500,000 last year. This year is hoped to be 1 million people moving to Texas. Yeah. So there's a boom. You want to go own property there because guarantee if the population keeps going, your property is going to go up. It's the rule, right? It's the rule. So you have nothing to lose. Okay? I hope I've answered you. I give you books now. Okay. The other books, I have them here. I'll give you the advice, but the books are important. Trust me. Because the advice is also in the book, and a longer advice that is not this short, and it's more realistic. So the Billionaire Habit book, I will recommend you get. Right? Billionaire Habit book. I authored that, and it's a good book, and the Billionaire Code. But the advice, huh? No, there is series. So it is the first series. I'm recommending it to her because it's the series 1. So yeah, so I would recommend if you like it, just buy the entire series. Part 1 is that one, Billionaire Habit. Part 2 is Billionaire Code. Part 3 is now the for entrepreneurs. But the advice I would give myself starting young is to first be grateful for being young, right? Being youthful is a gift. And I think a lot of young people don't realize that. But you see, being young is like vapor. It soon go away. So as much as you're grateful for being young, you need to almost become paranoid as though time is going on you. The time is going on you shouldn't be, oh, I want to make money. God is my witness. My decision till today has nothing to do with me. I didn't go to Houston to expand. Our US expansion was doing a $200 million expansion. I have not calculated what will be my profit. Because I see life in 3 phases, 0 to 40. Okay? And I call them the learning years, right? 40 to 80. I call them the earning years, right? If you are lucky, 80 to 120. I call them the resting years. So that's the way I divide years in my mind. So in my mind, this is period to try and fail, test and try something, right? And that would be my advice to you. Be willing to fail, right? Forget those who will mock you and talk. They will never be as successful as you are. It's okay to fail when you're young. Just try it again. You're lucky you have your mom on your side. I had my mom till I was 25. She was my investor. She was the one willing to have me try again. I did. Before my mother died, I failed in almost 10 businesses, right? But she kept encouraging me. according to her, when I was young, which I was aware as well, when prophet, my parents were from White Garment Church. So when prophet comes to our house, my other sibling will say, this one you need to fast, you need to do some the type of prayers. And when it comes to me, they will say, this one is going to be very rich and very famous. Pray that his destiny comes to pass. So my mother had always believed that. And so she was willing to, I was the only one after she died that she had a savings, right, for me to leave Nigeria and go and study abroad. She was too sure this one was going to be very rich because multiple prophecies. So you may not have any prophet tell your mom, but I believe your mom believes in you. That's why she brought you here. That's why she's trying to buy you books. You're lucky. And I pray she will live long. Right? Because I tell you, I discovered my greatest fear on campus when I was misbehaving. And and um, and I had a nightmare. I saw myself being old and I was not successful, and my mother was crying. She was still alive then. And she was crying that see what you do. That was the day I discovered my biggest fear was to disappointment. Right. I wanted to make her proud. Unfortunately she's no longer alive to see me do well. So I think having a mom like this who's ready to be on your back, you want to try. If it's entrepreneurship, try. Don't have your mind to I don't want to fail. No. I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to try till I get it right. That would be my advice. And I think that's what I did as well. I just kept trying. I just didn't give up. I didn't allow what people were saying to discourage me. The few losses I had, I didn't even bother tell people, so that they won't come and start pity party and tell me why you shouldn't have even done it in the first place. I didn't even bother tell anybody of my losses in business until when it becomes a testimony, right? Because I didn't just want them to start those pity party. I would do that a lot in Africa. So that would be my advice. Even when you fail in some of these businesses, don't create a pity party. Have this core people like your mom who believe in you, who will tell you, go at it again. What's the next step? What else can you do? Uh, and as long as you don't give up, nothing will stop. Nothing. I hope I've answered you. Okay. Yeah. You got
Sir,
Yeah.
what I really appreciate about this development number. In that book, you mentioned that if you want to buy land, please buy it.
Yes.
Because when this Isheri favor, although it's a crash program, 20 million naira per plot, just say, okay, with the space of 3 months, I say, let me go for it. And by now, I think I just have 5 million naira to balance it.
Congratulations.
So I just have that much. So, information power.
Yes, it is. It is.
Power.
It is. It's the same thing I do. I rather than just buy one little piece of land, that's all I do. Sometimes opportunity, maybe my money can only buy 50 acre and they have up to 100 acre. I'll be okay. Can I drop the 50 acre money and I spread, paying you for the remaining 50 acres? That's how we acquire many of our estates. And gradually I pay. And before you know, I now own 100 acre in a place. Just and it's helped me to also be conservative. A lot of people think I'm lavish. They have no idea. I'm one of the most conservative people you will find, based on what I have versus how I live my life. I'm very, very sure. Very sure.
So I've got quite a few. But what are the so what are the current projects that you can invest in?
So UK, we partner with a company called Beckley Group, and so they have over 70 developments across the UK, and they only specialize in off-grid. And I think that's good because one of the things we've seen with those developments is By the time they are done building, usually there's over 30 to 50% capital appreciation. So I'm giving an example. Maybe they're doing, excuse me, this 20-story, and you're buying just one apartment, and then they're giving you like a 3-year payment plan. And by the third year is when the house will be completed and they'll give you, but they're giving you to pay gradually here in the UK. You can also get mortgage, so that you just pay maybe 30%, you get a mortgage for 70%. But the beauty is we sing with find a partner with us and we help them with Berkeley. By the time they're getting the key, let's say the property was 400,000 pounds. By the time they're getting the key, the value is already almost 600,000 pounds. That's really and remember they spread that payment, just paying gradually. So even the 30% was spread. So I think off-plan projects like that with credible developers like Berkeley Groups, think that someone you can really take a yes. You can work with a lot Bisola to on that. You have a number? No. Alano?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, yeah, I've got it.
Yes, the work we have, yeah, and you can make that happen.
I just want to ask, what does your mentorship program entail?
I don't want them to carry my story again. So I actually have different mentorship programs. We have something called, by the way, we Abisola, can we get from reception a sheet of paper so we get all of you's information? We're doing a very big conference and I want to invite all of you. It's called the Business Growth Conference. 26th and 27th of July next month. We have Dr. Cosmos Maduka coming. I have a good friend of mine who sold his business as far back as 2008, the British, for $500 million. So coming to speak up. Great guys. I mean, it's gonna be not far from here, Millennium Gloucester Hotel. And I think if you register early, regular is 199, and then and then if you do the VIP, to involve dinner, so it's 2 days. You're also going to be able to have one-on-one session with Dr. Cosmos and other speakers. But you can. I just don't. I think I want to register and invite people. Because what we're trying to do is a business revolution with our people. Somebody asked me a question, so why have we not produced, a black mayor, here in the UK or prime minister? And I said, because we don't own enough businesses. You see, Rishi Sunak did not get there by mistake. It was almost richer. No, I'm talking about Mayor of London. Rishi Sunak was almost richer than the royal family, what it was into. So first of all, there was trust. That if you put the entire nation treasury into his hands, nothing will go wrong. But if you also see how the Indian community have come together, right, to invest, the next person you see, I can assure, even before you see any black, will be the Arabs, because they too have organized themselves well. They own some of the stadiums, they're investing in football clubs and all that. But nations don't respect you because of your degrees. They respect you because of your business, right? And that's still why you see countries ban African countries. That's the reason they're banning us. If it's based on education, we have produced the highest doctors, we produce, nurses and all of that. But they're not respecting us based on all that. The respect is based on what money are we bringing, right? So we need to change, and it's a mindset to begin to say to our people, let's start businesses, let's start mentorship. So we have something called Senator University. So if you subscribe to that, you have access to that for 3 months. It's one of my cheapest membership. Where I've also brought what Kiyosaki, Les Brown, all of their courses are there too. But my highest mentorship, you can't join yet because it's strictly for people whose businesses is doing over $100,000 dollars every year turnover. Those are the people I accept, right? That's the $20,000 program. So it's for even some of so typically, if your business is already doing over $100,000, you might qualify for my yearly free because I give people every year free opportunity to join without even paying. So their businesses must be doing over 100,000. But those who are paying, most of them already, their business over $1 million in turnover, right? Because they are the ones that can afford it, right? But if you can afford it, it's good to start with these books. Start with my YouTube. My YouTube has over 2,000 videos for free, and it's been so helpful. So many people that started their business by just watching some of those videos, right? As well as volunteering when we have events, attending, proximity, just being in the room has a lot of it. I mean, you see him sharing his story already, just from what he read from the book, how he's changing his mindset. Some of us just want to rush into this. I want to have one-on-one. And I think some of this one-on-one mentorship might not even work if your business is not at a level, right? Because there are some solutions that may be given you that you can't even afford those solutions because your business hasn't even grown. So I don't like speaking over people's head. I remember some of those books and videos, I did them when I was younger. Right? So I would, some of those conversations are relatable to where you are now, right? Some conversations I'm having now are not relatable to people who are just starting. I hope you understand. You're welcome. Okay, any more questions?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what sectors in Nigeria do you see as being undervalued currently, but potential?
What
potential
sector?
over the next
What
5
sector?
Yeah, what sectors do you think are undervalued?
Undervalued.
Yeah.
Real estate is one. Fashion is two. I think our fashion industry is still growing. I think the world loves our fashion. Yeah, it's still going home to still and let fashion. I think our fashion is still undervalued. I think our movie industry, in my view, is still undervalued. With what AI, is able to offer now, I think we can really turn around our movie industry to another level, right? If we can master AI. In fact, one of the things I'm trying to do is to assemble some of the finest AI gurus that are people of color for us to really develop AI better. Because if you're not careful, most of this AI we develop because the AI is feeding off what you're putting in, right? So if you're not careful, we will not be intentional in putting the right things into the AI for we people of color. We've even seen data that shows how AI was biased, based on the color scheme. Yeah, I'm telling you. And it's just learning. So we're the one feeding it. And so we need to begin to think of how people of color can play in that AI sector and be intentional in feeding it with the right information about people of color, right? So that the next racism will not be technological racism. And if you understand how AI will play so much in everybody's life, we don't want to be in that situation where AI is not the one discriminating against us. Yeah. And that even happens on social media. What we make you know, and how sometimes they flag our accounts once it's a Nigerian dominated account or African account. It's not the same as when same you open an account from the UK. So it tells you that even the algorithm, right, is already structured to be biased against Africans. Yeah. So these are areas we need to work on. I like my friend to share briefly. Mr. Safongo is also a real estate professional, you know, very successful. It's from Cameroon. So if you want to share a few things with us.
Okay, and thank you for the opportunity. Sam Fongo, I think met a few of you here over the years coming here. I am based in London in terms of operations, but over the whole of the UK on a daily basis. We do real estate, the auctions, okay, auctions and disposals. So if you want to sell a property quite quickly, anywhere in the UK, yeah, and if you want to invest as well, we have doing that. So we have a client base in the UK, Middle East and Africa, all over. I would say, who ask me where I come from, I say that the long and the short answer, because even though on paper, I'm Cameroonian, but I think I'm more Nigerian. I travel to Nigeria a lot. And you tend to go to Cameroon when there's a wedding or a funeral, but apart from that, nothing else really takes me to Cameroon. But it's business or Christmas holidays with the kids in Nigeria. Go to. But I think Nigeria is just incredible place. So much potential in Nigeria. And even here in the UK, everyone those things are Nigerian because I used to bring Nigerian developers there. I used to organize events in our Hilton, Victoria. We have about 400 Nigerians, and they were developers speaking, and I'll be moderating and asking them questions. So everyone thought, if it looks like it comes from Nigeria, it must be from Nigeria. But I still think Nigeria is the biggest opportunity out there, both the real estate business, agribusiness. Just you think about it, the amount of people in Nigeria, the amount of money that's in Nigeria, we just need to get Nigeria right. Someone said Africa will boom in Nigeria gets it right.
Yeah.
So if you look at what Saudi has done, if someone can do that in Nigeria for 2-3 months, there'll be a huge change. Not just, and the good thing about Nigeria that change comes to Nigeria, it will ripple across so quickly. You have lots of farmers in Cameroon. Nigeria is a main market that in the south. So and then Dangote expanded to Cameroon, cement, and the French companies are struggling because in most of the French African countries like Cameroon, it's always the French that dominate the market. So the Nigerians are coming in and pushing them out, which is good. So work very closely with Stephen and his team. Times like when they had the last event in Nigeria, as one of the guest speakers. So it's always a pleasure to interact with your community. So when I got the post that you're doing the investor dinner, I thought it would be a great opportunity to come network and share some good time with people like yourselves that are investing, knowing that Africa is the next biggest place to invest in. So it's been my pleasure. Thank you for the invite. And Steve, I didn't mention yet. So Jack is my wife actually.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, so all good to
well, now you also Cameroonian. No wonder you didn't understand some of. No wonder she didn't understand some of.
all the Omonile and stuff like that. Land ownership in Cameroon is very different from Nigeria.
Yeah.
It's very different. It's a whole different. Of course, you do a lot in Cameroon as well. You travel to Cameroon quite a lot. So, so it's also very different.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate this time. And I hope we've had a great time. Try to network with a few people. Uh, Abisola is willing to attend to you. Those of us who are existing investors, this dinner is free for you. Those of you who are yet to be, it's just a token. I think she's our boss, right? And you can just see her. She will attend. Would like to take pictures. I think we can use this background, right? What do you think? Can we use this background? What do you think? This is your work.
It's okay, but yeah.
We need to clear that.
What do we go after?
So,
Do we have somewhere we can use outside? No, they're not the one taking our picture. We'll just look around.
I'll go around.
Yeah, have a look at.
Yes, you can look around. There's a space you can. Yeah. There are some nice places. Kind of like the hotel's designs.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
I think they know because we have even I had this session for students. That 2 weeks ago. Of this see the list of because he goes to the challenge. People were bothered and those who had not come. He had been really for the coastal. But to challenge most times, people have not come back. What happened is what was supposed to do? She called and find out if it's there, but your dad should be asking for the document. The week price of yeah, you was one of those who went to the video. You know, you're there for your guys. So some of these things are just people are just they know because when we now started doing a lot about things, in my number, that issue something, nothing. In fact, our customer service team, they started calling people. Some of them were complaining that why are you calling? You know, you're calling me like that. I'm okay. You have gotten a place?
Yeah.
So it's just a this thing that is a weekend and you're not
You know.
okay. Which is why they are doing it. Some of them were not happy because the contract said it's they lost it. Oh, yes, so it was part of why it
But my problem was okay. You think about the party perform. It's different from being a proposing.
Are we going now?
yeah, let's go. Okay. Those of you on Zoom, thank you for joining us. I hope you learned a thing or two. We've had a great conversation with those who are here. We're still doing Houston. We're also doing a virtual conference as well, where we'll even have more time to discuss. So we just finished the London one. We're doing the Houston. We're doing Lagos and Abuja as well. Thank you. God bless you. And see you in next Sunday. We're doing a global virtual version that is also